Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this special edition of the Feuerstein's Fire American Soccer Show as we will review the 2025 Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup fifth round matches. Come on over. Once again, I write for Beyond the 90 at beyondthe90.substack.com, locally on New York Soccer, either at AGM Sports FC, currently assisting Bad Dog Sports while JJ Pavlik is recovering from his injuries. And the chat room is open in YouTube. Come on in, discuss amongst yourselves if you like. You have a question for me, I'll try to answer it to the best of my abilities. And as we begin this fifth round review show, you know, um, this season has been, I would say, a fun Open Cup. Usually it's been great the last several years, except for last year. We only had 8 MLS sides last year. Now we had up to 16, which is very good. Now we have, of course, down to the final 8. And I want to give the Pittsburgh Riverhounds a very, congratulations, good job. You went all the way to the fifth round. Unfortunately, took a beating by the Philadelphia Union. Lost that one 4-1. But Bob Lilly once again putting the Riverhounds ahead as the lone survivor for the lower levels in USL Championship to get the furthest in the second division for those clubs. But I keep doing this on Beyond the 90 because what I want to see is a great Open Cup competition from start to finish. That's what I try to do. I write these articles on Beyond the 90, not just to recap the Open Cup, all the matches that happen in each and every round, not just recap, the draws that happen on CBS Sports Golazo Network, but I try to make sense of what would make the Open Cup better. How can we make the Open Cup better? What are the things that we need to do to improve this competition, not just participation wise, but to make it look like it's really a fantastic competition. Now, look, I think we all agree that what they're doing so far, regional matchups from every round, is the way to go. And while I continue to use the blueprints of the U.S. Adult Soccer Association with their 4 regions and how it's all set up, I think it's the best way to go. And you try to limit the amount of travel for these clubs. And I understand, look, round 4, Red Bulls had to fly all the way across the country to go to Colorado Springs to play the Switchbacks. You're going to have Chattanooga Red Wolves flying across to face Las Vegas Lights in USL Championship. Occasionally it's going to happen. And we try not to let that happen because you want to know why? Simple, because we're trying to limit the issues, not just travel, but also with finances for hotel and, airline tickets or whatever it is that these lower division clubs or even these semi-professional clubs in the amateur divisions that they have to basically handle themselves. And going regional from the first round all the way to the quarterfinals is the best way to go. And then when you get to the semifinals, obviously the central region will face the west region and the east region will face the south region. Depending on who gets drawn first, we'll see what happens. And I really thought, and I really tried my hardest. I really did. I tried my hardest to set up the Open Cup like how the English FA Cup works. I really did. And you could go to Beyond the 90 at beyondthe90.substack.com to read up my articles, or you can just Google it. This time it's called the Real U.S. Open Cup Mock Format or something like that. It'll definitely get to it. And you'll see what I've written and my examples. But I've come to the conclusion that regardless of the soccer wars that continues on here, to make the Open Cup special, to make it what it should really be, I tried using the format that the English FA does for the FA Cup. Unfortunately, it's flawed. It's very flawed. And with with the United Soccer Leagues now moving forward with a first division league, how is this going to work? What are we going to do, and how is it going to happen? And making sure that every club performs from the first round all the way till the end. And that's where I believe that the way that the German DFB Pokal has it is the right way to go, with a bit of a twist, with a little bit of a different twist here, because I'll tell you why. I think everything from second division all the way down to the amateurs, which is USL Championship, USL League One, USL League Two, NPSL, League for Clubs, amateur qualifiers, they should all be in the first round. And, once again, we need a true fourth division league. I think it's time for that. We cannot continue to have three separate leagues in the same professional division. I just think it's ridiculous. But look, this is where we are right now, and we don't have enough clubs, even in the other leagues, which is MLS Next Pro, and as well, the NISA. And we also have to see if NISA is going to survive this. This, at the moment, temporary sanctioning from U.S. Soccer. We have to see how that's going to continue on from them. And will they survive? And if they do survive, congratulations. If they don't survive, which clubs can go to which current Division III league to, at least if they want to continue in this level, it's right there for them. But once again, my setups are this. Once again, it's all regional. Second division clubs, third division clubs, short season clubs, and the amateur clubs all begin the opening round. And then the second round, it's all the regional clubs, East, South, Central, West, in MLS. And if there's going to be 12 clubs starting this new first division league from USL, 3 clubs per region, begins in the second round. And then from that point on, it's all hands on deck. Second round winners advance to the third round of winners advance to the fourth, so on, fifth, quarters, semis, final, and so on and so on and so on. Because the right way to go is to have every single club. That's why it's called open competition. It's an open cup. It's open to everyone and anyone. And there are clubs that have won it before, who have multiple Open Cup titles, like the Chicago Fire, who have 4 Open Cup titles. The same thing goes for the Seattle Sounders. DC United with 3 Open Cup titles. The Crew with at least an Open Cup title. The Galaxy, I believe, have 2 or 3 Open Cup championships. LA Galaxy, of course, they couldn't defend their championship this year. Sporting Kansas City with, of course, when they were also Kansas City Wizards, have 2 to 3 Open Cup titles. You want to give everyone an opportunity to try and reach that pinnacle of being known as the national champion of the game in this country, the national champion of American soccer. That's what's on the line. And yeah, having that CONCACAF Champions Cup position is even better. But still, though, it's what to make this tournament feel more important. And that's where I want to go. Now, some are saying, well, if you want to make it like the Pokal, how about we have all the top division clubs start on the road and let the lower division clubs host it? Now, I thought about it. I thought, that's a pretty good idea. I wouldn't mind that. But still, though, once again, we'll see how that works if it ever does come to fruition. I'm not opposed to it. But, once again, we would have regional blind draws. Region 1 is the East, Region 2 is the Central, Region 3 is the South, and Region 4 is the West. That includes any club in the western side of the United States that is not mainland, which is meaning Alaska and Hawaii, that does have a club side that they can, in the amateur levels or whatever have you, if, USL and MLS do go away from the mainland, that they do find a way to get involved in the Open Cup, if it ever does happen. And hopefully it will. But, until then, we're just going to have it the way it is. David Applegate, commissioner of the Open Cup Committee, has done a fabulous job of managing everything and anything with the Open Cup. I want to give David a lot of credit here for how they've done all the draws, how they've done the setups. It's not easy for how and what MLS does to, what they've been doing with the Open Cup. But still, though, I'm willing to forgive MLS if they just allow all 27 clubs to enter the Open Cup. All of them. It's only fair and the natural way of things to go. It's the right thing to do. It really is. Because if we don't have that, and right now 16 is better than 8. I will say that. I will say that 16 is better than 8. But I'm sorry. This is not what it's supposed to be about. Everyone's got to be involved. Everyone. That's how they do it everywhere else around the world with their own FA Cup, Open Cup competitions. Now, granted, maybe the lower levels, there's a little bit less space being given, less bids being given, and that's natural. But still, though, for the professional level, the professional leagues in this United States Soccer Federation, that they are under the umbrella of U.S. Soccer. Every club has to participate. We cannot continue to allow these negatives to creep into the game no matter what level and what competition it is. It's got to be everyone, and that's it. This is how much I love the Open Cup. This is how much I cherish the Open Cup and I respect it. Because, look, this is why you have all these clubs trying to show the rest of the, not just within ourselves, but the rest of the world why these cup competitions matter. Everyone always talks about the FA Cup. Everyone talks about what goes on, Coppa del Rey, Coppa Italia, the DFB Pokal. We all watch these league games. We all watch these Open Cup games, FA Cup games, whatever have you, all throughout the streaming service platforms. If we don't have that and show the whole world we're a part of you too, when we've all failed. Maybe it's too harsh to say it, but that's how I personally feel. We cannot allow a failure to happen. Cannot. So that's all I'm saying. I think we should model the Open Cup with a bit of a twist, like the Pokal in Germany, but I wouldn't mind keeping the blind draws, make them regional, like the way the English FA does it for the FA Cup. But that's just my opinion. That's how I believe it. That's what I think it is. That's all I can say about that. But please don't forget to go to Beyond the 90 at beyondthe90.substack.com to read my Open Cup articles, whether it be match recaps, recapping the draws, whether it be the third round, the fourth round, the quarterfinal round, and so on, or all my lovely articles about the Open Cup. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I got a great show for you tonight. Joining me right now, he's been on this show before, first time on video streaming here on StreamYard. He covers the Chicago Fire for The Lantern, and this is my good friend, Ruben Tish. Ruben, good evening. Welcome to the first time we're seeing each other on video. How are you, my friend? What's going on in the Windy City?
I completely forgot about the video until I got here. I would have done my hair. But things are good. The loss to NYCFC over the weekend was disappointing, but it was what it was. Brian Gutierrez needs to stop elbowing people in the face.
What the
that's the second time he's done it this year.
What the hell was that?
Honestly, I think what it was a get off me shrug that his elbow hit him in the face, and yeah, it's a sending off, but it's like I also understand, like, if he elbows him in the ribs, nothing, or in the sternum, nothing happens. I don't even think it's a foul. But because it went to the face, you've got to send him off, right? So
Yeah.
like, but it's unfortunate. It was probably trending towards a draw or NYCFC win anyway, just based on how the game was going, because the Fire were getting tired. It's a lot of games on these legs, which we will talk about because of the Open Cup. I did listen to your opening monologue, and I do have a couple of thoughts that I've
Go
thought
ahead.
about for a while, if you don't mind, since we are here to talk about the Open Cup after all.
Hey, listen, Ruben, the floor is yours. Go for it.
Regionality sucks, and I think once the first division teams enter the tournament, it shouldn't exist. I think the travel expenses is solved by having all the MLS teams travel
Hmm.
to lower division um to lower division games, and like the USL championship teams that get drawn to against a USL Division 1 or an amateur team or what have you can also afford one extra flight or two extra flights a year for the year. So like regionality sucks. Get rid of it. I want to see the Fire have to go to Los Angeles and play the Burrito Boys. Also, I think that part of the problem is there's too many first division teams. So one of the things I would suggest if the USL league goes through is a first division playoff where you have either the MLS teams draw against MLS teams and USL teams draw against USL teams, or mix them in a single pool and have them play either a single game or a home and home to get into the tournament. Go back to doing that like they did in the mid 2000s. I think they stopped doing it at some point in the late 2000s where they started to let all the MLS teams in, but there used to be a playoff where the MLS teams would play against another MLS team to get into the tournament proper. I think it's a uniquely American problem because the country is so big and how our other sports work that you have to have like 30 teams in the top division. You're gonna have to have a first division qualifier
Yeah.
for the tournament proper, and that's how you get all of the teams playing in the tournament without having all of the teams playing in the tournament.
No,
Is
that's
what
not
I would
bad.
suggest.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I mean, look, it's an open suggestion. Whatever works for me, I hope it does. And I mean, look, we got to find a way to solve this problem if it's possible. So, but no, I'm not opposed to your ideas. If they sound pretty good, I'll definitely take that. And yeah, I mean, look, like I said, whatever works, it works. I try to get everyone thinking. I try to find a way to make this tournament more interesting, the way that things go the same way around the world. So, we'll see what happens
It's
there. But
TV. It's got to be
I know.
TV money. The CBS thing helps if they could get on actual television.
Yeah,
Even though TV's dying, it would help.
it would.
I think TV revenue is the biggest thing actually.
No, I agree with you. No, absolutely agree. I mean, look, right now CBS, it's been pretty good at the moment, but that has to grow as well. So we'll see what happens. So let's go ahead and talk about the Fire. Traveled to Providence, Rhode Island, to take on the New England Revolution at the, I guess you can call it either the lacrosse field or the soccer pitch for their men's and women's college team, and basically handle them properly. Now, this is a brand new thing on the show for me, and I like to show off a little bit. So here it comes on your screen, Ruben.
Ooh, match breakdown.
That's right. How you like that?
It's cool. Well
Thank
done.
you. Thank you. Thank you.
The
Thank you. Thank you.
big fan of the video production.
Hey, listen, I'm just getting started on this. So right now it's an early form, but when I find those specialty websites, I'll make it a little bit better. But right
Yeah.
now, there you have it.
And just for you, I will hide the branding of my beverage, even though it is not difficult based on
How dare you? No.
based on the bottle to figure
That's
out what it
okay.
is.
But I mean, look, let's put it this way. Yeah, kind of an even first half, I would think, for both sides. Even though I thought the Fire probably a little bit more on the front foot than the Revolution were. And if not for that deflection by Eric Klein in the 38th minute from Bamba's shot, that I think Bamba would have scored it anyway. But Klein's deflection helped them.
Well, let's be real. First of all, the Fire were playing what basically amounts to a second division squad.
That's true.
The Revs did not put out their best team. Well, while the Fire did make 6 changes to their regular MLS starting 11, Jonathan Bamba, like you mentioned, started. Hugo Kuipers started. Chris Brady started because he was suspended for the game at the weekend. So that would have been his Open Cup break he took for the MLS game. Yeah, it was very much the Fire were very much in control in the first half, but didn't do a lot with it. The own goal, I would dispute it going in, if only because it looked like a cross instead of a shot. But the Fire did have players on the back post to put the ball in. But there's every chance they screw that up, because they screwed that up a lot this year. So like this team's inability to score bunnies yet put the ball in intricate and fantastic ways astounds me this season. And maybe that's something we talk about with the return Red Bulls fixture, if you have me on for that.
Absolutely.
It's their league form. But as far as this Open Cup game goes, it was absolutely it was a massacre without being a massacre. It should have been 7, maybe even 8-1. It was just Fire domination start to finish. And when you're playing a rival, even with the weak roster they put out, it's always nice to dominate a rivalry game like this. But it was one of those. It's one of those games where it should have been worse, and this was the expected outcome.
Yep. No, absolutely. And I will say this for the Revolution. Let's just be honest with ourselves here. They put themselves into this whole hole against Chicago, because if second half, I mean, let's be honest. If the Revolution defender did not nail that ball, I mean, I know he tried to clear it, but he hit his own crossbar. If he doesn't do that, Kuipers is not in perfect position to rebound that sucker in.
Well, yeah, but that's one of those things in soccer where 99 times out of 100 he clears the ball over the bar and it's a corner, and they defend the corner well, and then the game goes on, right?
Yep.
Like I really don't like mistakes of that nature. That's those kind of freak things that happen. I don't like putting that on defenders so much, because like it's a freak thing that happens once in a blue moon. Or because there's a lot of games now, you see them more often, but I think on a game by game, minute by minute percentage basis, it's about the same as it always was. It's hard for me to blame a defender for doing that. Like,
yeah,
it's just one of those things, man.
Yeah, it's very true. But I will say this though: 10 minutes later, Philip Zinkernagel, that was great individual effort.
Oh, he's great. It's funny. I remember thinking when they signed him, oh, he'll be good. He'll push Marin Holly Selassie for his starting spot, because they signed Bamba, and now they signed another winger on a TAM deal. And he'll push Holly Selassie for his starting spot. And, Greg Berhalter is going to have some decisions to make. Holly Selassie can also play right back if you need him to. So like there's some finagling you can do there, and also great depth for things like the Open Cup or when the MLS schedule goes Wednesday, Saturday, Wednesday, which does this week, although the Fire are not playing a midweek game. I think that he just came in, and if it wasn't for the injury he picked up in the last game of preseason that kept him out, the first couple of weeks, we're talking about a Fire team that is up there in the Eastern Conference standings with, your Philadelphias, your your Columbuses, your Cincinnati's, because they don't lose that game against DC United on that freak last kick of the game bike. They probably also don't get destroyed 4-2 in the opener after going up 2-0. So like that's 5 points right there that they pick up with him in the lineup. It is the combination of hard work and technique that we hoped to get from Sheridan Shaqiri for a lot cheaper.
Exactly. And that's what getting this guy means a lot to this Chicago Fire team. Quarterfinal draw, you'll be on the road at Minnesota United. Thankful it's only Minneapolis is not that far away from Chicago. Thank God for that.
Yeah, the concert schedule kind of screwed the Fire, and there's a thing in Bridgeview going on too during when they would host both the quarter and the set. It's like a month-long deal that the city of Bridgeview has going on at the stadium, so they can't play there. The Red Stars can barely play there. So it's unfortunate that the only game they can host would be in the final, but it's a good incentive to get to the final as you get to host it.
No,
So
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. But seeing what Minnesota's done in the Western Conference right now, and the way they've been going in this trajectory in the Open Cup as well, what makes them dangerous for the Fire? Or what do you think the Fire could do against Minnesota United FC in the quarters?
so I said this on Blue Sky when the draw was announced. I think the Fire are favorites in that side of the bracket. Um, I think, and I have thought this for years. I think the Western Conference in MLS is fake. I think aside from Vancouver, who clearly are the better side, are the best team in the league at this point, but not because of what they're doing in conference, because of what they're doing in conference plus their Champions League run. I think the Western Conference is crap. I think Minnesota being in third in the West, if they had to play in the Eastern Conference, they'd probably be, seventh or eighth, right around where the Fire are. And that's not really a knock, even though it sounds like a knock on Minnesota's talent level. I think they're a talented team. I just think the Eastern Conference is that much better, and the teams in the Eastern Conference on a game-by-game basis play against better teams, twice a year, as opposed to the West, who have to you play St. Louis twice a year. Like, you play, um, you play Kansas City or the Galaxy twice a year. So like it doesn't compare to me, the talent level. And obviously there's a little bias here because I see the Fire week in, week out. I see their talent. I see the development of guys like Sergio Orahel and, Jonathan Bomba, who's starting to turn it on, and Mauricio Pineda. It just to me, it seems like there's no reason the Fire shouldn't win this game and shouldn't go on to beat the team in the semifinal, whoever it is.
Yeah.
Also helping are like the stronger, quote unquote, MLS teams are in Leagues Cup this year, which is sort of how they sort of they split it, although it's not 100%. But it seems to me that that's what MLS tried to do, is put the stronger teams in Leagues Cup and have the rest of the teams in the West, which, sucks for a team like Seattle, who really takes this tournament seriously. But it is what it is. So like, yeah, I think it'll be tough. I think this game could go into extras and penalties. But I think the Fire should really come out on top against this Minnesota United team. Obviously, this can all change because this game is happening, either as or after the summer transfer window opens. So all of this, it's a long time until the next game. So all of this can change.
Yep.
But they lost. It seems like the Fire have lost the Kevin De Bruyne sweepstakes to Napoli, but now there's rumors going along that they have switched targets to one Luka Modric. So like Joe Mansueto is on the hunt for a massive name. They have 60,000 seats to sell.
Yep.
And like Luka Modric he's 40 years old, but he still got it. And if they bring him in and don't sell Brian Gutierrez over the summer, which is looking like it's a possibility, then you can platoon Luka Modric and Brian Gutierrez. And what does that do to the rest of the league?
Mm-hmm.
Even in the Open Cup, where
Yeah.
you could have Modric probably come in for 20 minutes at the end of the game if you need him. And that gets me very excited to think about. But like, that's where we are now with this club. So to me, it seems like the final on paper should be the Fire in Philadelphia.
All right. Well, we'll see what happens there. But anyway, anyone that wants to read about Chicago Fire news, go to the Lantern. That's where Ruben Tish is. Ruben, thank you for your time. I appreciate it. I'll talk to you again, my friend.
It is a subscription, so you will have to pay for it. If you don't, I totally get it. There's also Men in Red 97, which is where a bunch of my other colleagues, that's where like the other half of the Hot Time in Old Town diaspora went. So they have a lot of free content there that's really good. Check them out as well.
All right. Thanks again, Ruben. I'll talk to you next time. You take care.
Yep. Thank you.
Once again, that's Ruben Tish from The Lantern, Chicago Fire newsletter. Of course, that's on Substack as well. My next guest, he covers Nashville SC for 615 Soccer, along with Valaire, my friend Valaire. And this is Mr. Stephen Robinson. Stephen, welcome to the show. And how are you, my friend?
I'm fantastic, man. It's good to be here, especially talking about Nashville, just because it's been an absolutely fun May for us here. Excited to talk to you and excited to talk about the Open Cup.
Absolutely. And you know what? Nashville, I have to admit, when they played Chattanooga, I wasn't expecting the goal to happen so fast. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, I mean, I thought they're going to give Chattanooga more of a game, but it felt like more of, okay, we got our goal. Let's just bunker in the rest of the way, and then we'll just move on to the next round.
Yeah, we were all kind of thinking the same thing. It's one thing to get a result, but it's also another thing just to, play a team like the Red Wolves. That is in USL 1 that you should dominate for sure and only win by a goal, right? It did give, some players an opportunity to at least get into a match. And, it's a team that hadn't normally played together. Ruben Tish talked about how this May has been crazy for all teams at the current moment. We're soon to be on 9 games in May, which is insane. I'm exhausted talking about it, so I can only imagine. I know, right? I can only imagine teams actually that have to play and run around for 90 minutes having to go through it. But yeah, when we got through it, it was, look, we did it. We got done. This club has talked about very much so, and PJ Callahan, our coach, has also talked about how important this tournament is, how they're going to go for it 1,000%. After that Chattanooga match, you're like, okay, let's figure this out a little bit. And then the lineup for this match against Orlando got announced, and that was a lot to say the least.
Yep. Oh, absolutely. Let's go ahead and get into the game right there. Tough one to give up the opening goal in the 17th minute. Marco Pasalic. It was a great shot. There's nothing you can do about it, but you didn't expect Rodrigo Schlegel to help you with an own goal, did you?
No, and shout out to, I mean, I feel bad for Teal Bunbury in that moment because I think that goal goes in anyways, but of course the hit Schlegel first before it even got off Teal's striker. I mean, Teal's foot, knee, whatever. But I gotta say, just kind of talking about the lineup again, I think it's the most outraged that I've seen Nashville fans in any sort of existence. As I was talking about, we heard BJ Callahan talk about, hey, this is an important competition. Let's make sure that we are on top of it. Then you look at our bench, we don't even have Hany Mukhtar, Sam Surridge, don't have 4 of our top scorers starters in the lineup. We have a guy at left back and Wyatt Meyer, who has never played left back before. We had an emergency call up from our MLS Next Pro team because we needed a player as well to be on the bench for this. So we were outraged. We then come into the game against Orlando looking like we actually were going to stand on our heads for a little bit. Obviously, that goal by Marco was absolutely terrific, but after that goal kind of went in, we started really putting on the Jets in it. We'll talk about Ahmad Qasim, kind of scoring that second goal. I think he probably had his best match in Nashville SC kit. I mean, he was pretty much a part of all 3 goals specifically and really dominating that right side. There was some lapses in defense as well, just kind of in the beginning, but I think it's just a team that hasn't fully played together yet in that kind of experience. So yeah, that first goal kind of, was a little bit of luck, but I think we all know the Open Cup. Sometimes you do need a little bit of it.
Yep, you really do, because this is like basically this is competitions like the wild, wild west. You never know what you're gonna get.
Right.
And I'm not giving you a Forrest Gump-ism. I promise you that. You'll never know what you're gonna get in Open Cup play, no matter what round it is. The weirdness, the quirkiness just comes out of nowhere.
Well, for us, even in this match, like, we were going into this pretty much. I understand we're not, but we're like, this is a C squad this isn't even a B squad that we were putting out. This is a C squad. We were going in like a cup set for us, even though it wasn't. But for us, we hadn't beat Orlando away in the Open Cup before. We lost to them in the quarterfinals in 2022. So going into this match with a down squad, it was weird for us to see our team actually perform the way that they did. Obviously, there was just a couple defensive mistakes. The Orlando City second goal, I think, was just a lapse in tiredness, made a couple subs. But you got to give it out to the kids that were playing for that 79th minute goal. Wyatt Meyer with an absolute banger for that third goal. His first goal for NSC, off of a beautiful play by Qasim, beautiful pass by Yazbek, and they were able to see out the match, which was extremely important. That Nashville has had a tough time doing this year in some ways when it comes to completing matches, but they were able to do it. And I mean, to us, it did feel like a cup set for sure. But we're hoping that a lot more promise and, a lot more strong lineups, all that type of stuff is going to be brought into the competition.
No, absolutely. And let me just ask you this. When BJ Callahan took over during the Greg Berhalter, is he coming back? Is he not coming back moment with U.S. Soccer? And what he did in that Nations League against not just Mexico, but against Canada. I was not so much I was outraged. I was like, what is he going to do?
Right.
What is BJ going to do that Anthony Hudson could do? And what could he do that Greg Berhalter can't do?
Right.
Absolutely. And then he puts on that performance,
right,
with tactics and managing. And many people saying, throw him in there now, give him the job. I said, no, we cannot give him the job right away. Look, we got lucky with him in the Nations League. We got lucky with him in the Gold Cup, regardless of what happened against Panama in the semifinals, lost in the penalty kick shootout, whatever. He's got to manage a club team. He has to manage a club. And when Nashville did the thing, when they sacked Gary Smith and brought him in, you had to say to yourself, we got lucky here.
And that's the weird thing. Like in Nashville, for us, it was the safe hire, which was crazy for us because this is a guy that we knew he was tactically smart, but didn't necessarily have that experience of being the club coach specifically. He got DC United interviewed him and turned him down in their interviews and went with the coach that they currently have now. That first season was a little bit wild for us. We could have made the playoffs, but we lost 3-1. We lost, 3 goals at home to DC United before getting into the playoffs. Not like that season really mattered to us anyways, kind of firing your coach mid-season. We're not expecting something, but I think the way that this team is progressing right now, I mean, currently we are 8 unbeaten. The beginning was a little tough for us to kind of get an establishment, but you could always see it there. I think we're top in MLS or second in MLS right now when it comes to expected goals. Still having trouble finishing some of those chances, but the tactics and everything are currently there. Like you're starting. I mean, people are comparing BJ Callahan right now to Wilfred Nancy. And the way that he's tactically like an extremely smart, I agree. I absolutely agree. I have been trying to, when I get low, I try to be a little bit more optimistic. When we get up here to this, I'm like, no, let's calm the brakes a little bit. But you're starting to see, especially from a national tactical perspective, we've had more goal contributions from our fullbacks this season so far than we did the entire last season. Bringing different players into the match, different positions, different players that do have attacking prowess. We're starting to see it. Do I think the team is fully there yet? I'm not sure. Do I think we could win the Open Cup competition, though? Absolutely.
That's very, very bold there, Stephen. We'll see what happens because, you've been drawn to host, excuse me. Sorry about that. You've been drawn to host DC United over at Geodis Park in July. Look, Troy Lesane, very crafty head coach himself, has done a pretty good job currently without Christian Benteke. And, DC United's shown to be a bit dangerous right now when it comes to Open Cup play. So what do you think Nashville needs to do to try and handle a DC United team that can be a bit, I won't say unstable, but maybe you're not sure what you're going to get on the pitch with them?
Well, yeah, and that's exactly what we went through, the match before the DC United match. We rested, some players just because of the fact that we were expecting, a DC team that lets up a lot of goals, that teams do have the ability to get behind them. So we rested a few of our attacking players, and we ended up drawing to them at home 0-0. At a team that we should have absolutely beat. So when I saw that name come up, well, first I was having a traumatic experience when they were doing the draw of deciding if we were going to be in the West or East for this bracket, just like we were for early MLS years, which was, are you in the West or are you in the East?
Back and forth.
Yes, so had that traumatic experience. So when we drew the East, I mean, the hope was for DC United, right? It was, going and playing a team like Red Bulls that we've struggled against until we finally beat them the first time in 7 matches. A team like Philadelphia Union that we have beat, but that was earlier in the season. And that was an entry kind of Philadelphia Union team that hasn't gotten to that kind of unbeaten streak that they're currently at. So DC United at home, absolutely what we were looking for. I think that Union Red Bull match is going to be interesting too, just because we do have priority when it comes to if Philadelphia does beat the Red Bulls, we would have priority, so it would be at home. So there's a couple interesting factors into that as well. But I think with DC United, it is what DC United that you are going to get, right? There's a player, Randall Leal, player for DC United that was a part of Nashville for a very long time, ended up going to them in the offseason, who looks like he's playing extremely well. But some days you're going to get shots from 40 yards out that are going to Nats Park in DC United Stadium, but sometimes they're going to go in the back of the net. What DC United you're going to get, I'm not 100% sure. I really hope we do not get to penalties with them, though, because I do not want the Jordan Farr experience to come back. I do not want 4 save penalties to come haunt me because Nashville has gone through their penalty problems before. And I think from a national perspective, it's what lineup that we're going to put out. Are we going to go with our strongest starting 11 that we have around that time, or are we going to go with the lineup that we did against Orlando City? It'll be an extremely interesting match.
It really will be. Stephen, I really appreciate your time. Thank you very much for joining me tonight. Good luck rest of the season and against DC in the Open Cup in the quarterfinals.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. Looking forward to listening to the rest of it. And yeah, have a good one.
All right, you too. Once again, Stephen Robinson from 615 Soccer as Nashville once again defeats Orlando City by a final of 3-2. And that was really a fun one. My next guest could not join me live as we recorded the interview. So this is Eric Goodman from the Austin Chronicle discussing the Open Cup match between Austin FC and the Houston Dynamo. Here it is. Welcome back to the American Soccer Show. We're going to review the fifth round of the 2025 Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup. Joining me right now from the Austin Chronicle, Eric Goodman. Austin FC defeats the Houston Dynamo by a final of 3-1. Eric, welcome back to the show. Actually, the new format. And how are you, sir?
Yeah, doing great, Daniel. It's nice to have some competitive late round cup play in Austin. It's that's new for this club. Is year 5 finally advancing more than a couple rounds into to one of these knockout tournaments.
Now, obviously, this is the last Texas derby between any Texas team, whether it be an MLS or USL Championship or League One. And Dynamo got the best of Austin in league play last time they faced each other in April, but this time Austin just came back and put a whooping on them.
Yeah, and the easy difference to point out is home versus away. Obviously, in MLS, that's I think more than in a lot of leagues, you see the home field kind of take effect in a big way. But more than that, I think in Austin's case, a lot of that attacking talent that was invested in really heavily in the offseason to bring in Brandon Vasquez, and he started to really kind of hit his stride in Austin, and he gets on the board in this one. He also was part of the big comeback that got Austin to this place. Austin was down 2-0 against El Paso Locomotive and needed 3 goals in under 10 minutes just to get past that USL side and into this derby clash with the Houston Dynamo. And so Brandon Vasquez has made a big difference up front. And then still waiting on Mirto Uzuni, who actually is the club record signing. He's been, he's had as slow a start as you could possibly hope in Austin, but they didn't need him necessarily. When you get goals from guys like Ilya Sanchez to kind of put the game away for good, then that's when a team like Austin is clicking as well as we've seen all season.
And you get that penalty in the 56th minute there to make it 2-0 from Osman Bukhari. The penalty, of course, I was involved watching all the Red Bulls going against FC Dallas, so we kind of helped you guys out there too. What was the penalty? What was the foul call in the area for, and why they got the penalty, Austin?
Yeah, it was just some action in the box, and Osman Bukhari is great at making those defenders really kind of really uncomfortable and really panic in a way. We've seen that now several times. He's excellent dribbling with the ball at his feet, and he creates these very uncomfortable moments for defenders where they're kind of spread and reaching in ways that he's just a very slippery player to keep in front of you, and he creates these chaotic moments in the box, and this time that was a huge goal that Austin hasn't been getting a lot this season in MLS or US Open Cup play, getting that second goal to really put the game away.
Yeah, that's very true. Ever since you brought over the LAFC man, Ilya Sanchez, to Austin, I mean, to me, I think he's made a bit of a difference. I don't know how much he's being used, but I would have to assume he's been a difference so far, especially in getting that third goal.
So, yeah, it's been interesting with Ilya because obviously he's tremendous in possession. He's a guy that you want, when you've got the ball, you want it to be finding him as much as possible because he's going to be directing traffic. And that's how Austin tried to play at the beginning of the season under Nico Estevez, and Ilya Sanchez was having a great impact, but the results just weren't necessarily following. So when Austin was playing some of their best soccer in terms of producing results, getting an away win at LAFC, getting an away win, I believe it was at St. Louis, they were playing on the counterattack, and that's not Ilya Sanchez's style. That's not where he's at his best. Doesn't mean he can't help, it's not doesn't mean he's a bad player in those moments, but I've been continually interested to see how Nico Estevez is going to use Ilya Sanchez, because does he want to play possession and put Ilya, feature him at the center of that midfield, or does he want to play defensively on the counterattack where Ilya is going to be a little bit, his impact's going to be minimized. But again, first, he's not a guy that you expect to score a lot of goals. When you get them from him, it's just gravy, and it was a really impressive finish, and good on him for finding a way to make an impact in a game like this.
No, absolutely, and I agree with you there, and it's been pretty good. Even though Ezekiel Ponce did get that one chance in the 70th minute convert 3-1. I mean, at the end of the day, Houston didn't really have much, did they?
No, it didn't. And if you're Austin, you look at that as you got up the screen. You got the red card to Julio Cascante. Like, you hate to. It's the second time that he's picked up one of these cheap red cards at the end of games in stoppage time of a win, and it's like you're up 3-0. Why jeopardize anything that you might have in the following match? And so, you yes, good on Houston for staying engaged and getting one goal back to maybe try to mount a comeback. But you're right, like there was not much of a sign that Austin wasn't in control of the match, and that's why you hate to see a center back, a guy that has got so much experience, be unavailable for the following match. And I think that's where Austin might be kicking themselves more than even allowing Houston one goal back into the game.
No, I agree, because I just couldn't understand, why you have to have yourself a numerical disadvantage, even though it ended 10-on-10 because Brooklyn Reigns got yellow card in 82nd and he got sent off in the 90th minute in extra second half stoppage time. I just don't understand why he had to foul and get himself sent off. I just it's really mind boggling. I mean, even in MLS play, you saw Chicago Fire at New York City FC, Brian Gutierrez. The Fire up 1-0 in the Bronx, and then all of a sudden Gutierrez runs up to Aiden O'Neill, turns around, shows his back to O'Neill, does some sort of a bunny hop, and then lifts his left elbow and right into like an uppercut into O'Neill's chin, his face, and gets sent off. You're up 1-0. Does it make sense to play it like that? Now, I'm assuming something happened during the game that maybe they didn't like the tackle or something, or a challenge, but that doesn't mean you got to do that. Cameras all over the place. There's VAR. They're going to catch that.
Yeah, even in Open Cup, where sometimes they're depending on where you're playing, the apparatuses are stripped down a bit. But yeah, you're absolutely right. It's just a question of discipline. It's a question of understanding that it's a cup competition. The object is not to just win one round. The object is to win multiple rounds, and in order to do that, you need to be at full strength.
Absolutely. And now they're going to be missing his services for the quarterfinals on the road at San Jose. Before we get to that, Estevez, your new head coach since Josh Wolf was let go at the end of last year. What was it about him that right now you think it's a perfect fit for Austin FC moving on forward?
Well, I mean, personality wise, I think he was a great fit in the sense of, this fan base had really kind of felt a little bit abandoned from the coaching staff, from like a lot of the club. The voice of the club wasn't necessarily um, really embracing the fan base, and that's what Nico Estevez has done. He's really reached out. He's tried to include the fans and speak to them more directly. But in terms of a perfect fit tactically, like, he's searching a lot. He still doesn't quite have a firm grasp of how to get the best out of this Austin team. And, it was a controversial hire because you had Rodolfo Borrell, the Austin FC sporting director, at one point claiming, this is a guy very well connected across the world, from his time at Barcelona, Man City, Liverpool. And he was saying, like, he's got names you wouldn't believe reaching out to him with interest in being the Austin coach. that everybody's mind then went to, oh, Pep Guardiola's going to leave Man City and coach Austin, or oh, Jurgen Klopp, he's left Liverpool, maybe he'll come to MLS. And instead, again, that's some of those were unrealistic, but Nico Estevez, a coach that was recently just let go by your rival FC Dallas, I don't think anybody was expecting that, and he still has a lot to prove that was not you know prove that was the right decision. And again, he's still searching, but he's starting to get some better performances from these guys. He's got Brandon Vasquez now scoring goals, and that's what he's got to continue to search for in order to. And again, the Open Cup is a tremendous opportunity for Nico Estevez because it would give Austin something that they've never had, even with some of the success they had under Josh Wolf.
No, I agree. And, bringing over Brandon Vasquez, I mean, we all know he's a proven goal scorer. What he's done with Cincinnati before he went to Monterrey and Liga MX. So, with that, you know what you're getting with Brandon Vasquez. So, Grook, I think it's great that he's doing well for Austin, and he's done it before in the Open Cup back in 2023 before they took on Lionel Messi in the semifinals and Inter Miami. So we all know what he's all about, and Austin's got a good one there, and he's doing pretty good. Now, quarterfinal matchup on the road against the San Jose Earthquakes at PayPal Park. This is a big one, and look, I don't have to tell you this, and this is why you got to take on the master of American soccer coaching and Bruce Arena. I know he's a coach just like any of the coaches that you watch and play in any league, but still, though, he's done a lot in this league. And what's that task going to be like when you face them in the quarterfinals over in California in the Bay Area?
Yeah, and Bruce Arena's done what a tremendous job he's done taking a San Jose team that looked like completely uh I they were devoid of any identity. They had, were just horrific defensively last season. And look at the job he's done having them, already in a playoff, in a playoff race in MLS play. Um you would not think it just based on the profile of these two teams unless you were kind of paying close attention, but there's actually a sneaky rivalry between Austin and San Jose. They've played a lot of really tense, really competitive matches where there's been, a lot of scuffles, a lot of extracurricular activity on the pitch. There's, you know, Espinosa has been just a complete thorn in the side of Austin since their first season. So this is really, I'm actually really excited that this is the matchup, and it definitely doesn't. It definitely behooves San Jose to have the match at PayPal Park. I'm not sure if Austin has won there because they've played. Austin's only won once in nine. It's been 9 matches, I believe. One Austin win, two San Jose wins, and then 7 draws. So that tells you how competitive it's been. Or 6 draws. That's how 6 draws out of 9 matches essentially is how competitive it's been against with these two teams. Bruce Arena is the new figure in the rivalry. Nico Estevez is a new figure in the rivalry. Austin, I think, is going in as underdogs, but maybe they can rally around that and get a result and really keep this this streak going into a semifinal.
Yep, absolutely. It should be exciting. Should be a lot of fun. And I can't wait to see what this matchup's going to be all the way to July. July 8th and 9th, we'll find out from U.S. Soccer which day this match will be played. And don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, you can watch every single U.S. Open Cup match in every round digitally on Paramount Plus. We will find out if this matchup will be also broadcasted on either CBS Sports Golazo Network or on linearly on CBS Sports Network. But Eric, I appreciate your time. Thank you very much. And good luck with the Open Cup quarterfinal matchup.
All right, Daniel. Hey, let's go Knicks. Am I right? Let's some basketball.
That's right. Let's go Knicks. And that is Eric Goodman from the Austin Chronicle as we talk about Austin FC. First, I just apologize for my voice, obviously. Just went through a very nasty cold and everything. But look, I'm feeling better, much better. Still a little nasal, but I'm okay. I'm ripping, roaring, ready to go. My next guest is my good friend all the way from the North Star State, if you want to call it, in Minnesota. This is the one and only Bruce McGuire from the Denord website. Bruce, hello, my friend. We
And
finally
you-
see each other. First time in a very long time since you came to Red Bull Arena. We met each other in the
Yeah,
press box.
in person.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
How are you, my friend?
I think I'm okay. Yeah, I mean, personally, I can't say it's been a great winter, but soccer season helps a lot.
Yes, it does. It really does. And especially on an Open Cup run with Minnesota United, they've been pretty good so far since entering the last round. I mean, sneaking in that goal away at Louisville, and now, you got yourself a big victory against St. Louis City. And apparently, that loss, I don't know if it was that loss, but definitely over the week after the weekend, looks like St. Louis sacked Olaf Melberg.
I just saw that before I joined you.
Amazing. Amazing stuff. Well, let's go ahead and talk about the match against St. Louis City. I got to tell you, Bruce, and by the way, that's the new thing. If you see your screen right now, I go crazy over the graphics. So what am I going to do?
Nice.
Look
That's
at that.
great.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Kelvin Yeboah got off to a great start for Minnesota with that early goal in the 10th minute. Just unreal what he's done so far.
Did you see who gave him the pass?
I did not. Go ahead and tell us.
Julian Gressel.
Oh, my God. That's right. You got him from Inter Miami.
He hadn't played a single minute this season for Miami. And all the guy does is set people up to score.
Gee, I wonder why.
Yeah, he does it everywhere for everybody. And for some goofy reason, Miami didn't need him.
No, it's crazy. I don't know what the heck's going on over there.
No.
I mean, they're dropping goals, they're dropping points, they're just going all over the place. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
But they led this match most of the way, going into halftime, and then you get those two goals going against you, unfortunately.
Well, at halftime, Minnesota they played with three center backs and they subbed two of them out. And they brought on two new center backs and it didn't click. It just didn't work. And the next thing you know, St. Louis has two really nice goals. But before that, they couldn't even get near the goal with the ball. And suddenly they have two goals. So then Minnesota goes and says, okay, we're going to put in our other three subs and they're all going to be attackers. And that's when things turned around again. Yeah. And then, a guy out of nowhere, Anthony Marcanic, gets the two goals, and he used to play for St. Louis. So I'm sure he was very, very happy.
Yeah. I mean, look at that. 2 goals in 3 minutes. Just unreal what he's been able to do over there in that match. And, I got to say, ever since your manager came over from Manchester United, I think he's pushed the right buttons. I think he's done a tremendous job of knowing what he has on the squad and how he's able to use them to his advantage tactically. And so far this season, Minnesota's been doing pretty good so far.
Yeah, and for the most part, they did good last year too. It's just every once in a while, they just really lay an egg. And, it's not obviously almost every team in MLS has these spots every single season. That's the parody of it all. But, it's less eggs than they've laid in the past years. Let's put it that way. I mean, they just played a really, really dreadful home game on Saturday against Austin. It finished 1-1. And it just was not one that either team is putting on their highlight reels this year.
Right. Well, it could be worse, Bruce. They could be the Galaxy.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. No, unbelievable.
I mean, the Galaxy have 4 points, and one of them was earned here in Minnesota.
No, they really was, and that's unfortunate. But still, though, I mean, it's just amazing to see what Minnesota has done in the Open Cup in these games. And I mean, what is this turnaround that you've seen from them moving forward that makes you feel comfortable that there's a possibility that there could be a run here? I mean, you're going to the quarterfinals at home.
Yeah,
that's a good thing.
Yeah.
But what makes you feel confident there could be a run here?
I don't know. I mean, the first game against Louisville, they played only kids from the second team and even kids from the academy. And a 17-year-old named Darius Randall scored the only goal of the game. And so, I think the fans and the team are really proud of those kids for going there and doing that job, because, we hear a lot about, the USL Championship division being better than people think it is. But I have to admit, and I know a lot of people are going to hate me for saying this, but I'm not impressed by that division.
I'm going to duck right now.
I don't know. I mean, it was 9 years ago Minnesota was in the NASL, and I haven't seen a team any better than what we used to see in the NASL, which is, on the same level, the same plane as USL Championship.
Yep.
And and we know that MLS has dramatically improved in the last 9 years. And I don't see that with the USL Championship. But again, I'm probably going to get killed for saying it.
You probably will, but I know you, Bruce. You'll take it on the chin. You'll be like, "Look, I said it. Now come after me." I know you, Bruce. You're going to take it. You're going to take it. I know.
I won't even get hit, but they're going to swing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's just a little one of those. That's all it is.
But after that game, somebody wrote to me and said, "Are you surprised at who Minnesota put out there?" And I said, "I was surprised that Louisville wasn't better." That's what surprised me,
Yeah, I agree.
And then, against St. Louis, they had beat them pretty bad on Saturday, and then just happened to have this 3-day later Open Cup game against the same team in the same stadium. And I think that some of the Minnesota players underestimated St. Louis, didn't take them serious. They got the goal early, and I think they kind of coasted.
Yeah.
And then, St. Louis made them wake up, and then they, put in 3 of their best attacking players and won the game.
Yeah, absolutely.
So now we see, with Chicago coming to the Twin Cities next, that'll be fascinating, because Chicago's been a good road team in the league. They did not play good this last weekend and got beat, but on the road. But, they were always a team that Minnesota and Chicago fans hoped would become a big rival. We've been friends with their main supporters groups for 25 years. We've had a long relationship, and they've only played 4 or 5 times in the 9 years that Minnesota's been in MLS. So it's really disappointing. Nothing's gotten to develop at all there. And so this will be a good chance.
I think so. I mean, look, the stakes are higher. You win, you move on. You lose, you cry. I mean, that's all it is, really.
Yeah.
But I mean, look, unfortunately, this is not like, Twins and White Sox, or Bears and Vikings, or, Timberwolves and Bulls or anything like that.
I don't think they have anything, no. But in the old days, hockey was the big one.
Oh, yeah.
And it was the Blackhawks against the North Stars, and that was a huge rivalry.
Yep.
But, I think us soccer fans thought that we would have a shot to build some of that.
Yep.
And it hasn't happened, although as supporters groups, we all remain good friends.
Mm-hmm.
But the rivalry between the teams just hasn't happened. So,
yep.
I guess the more times you play, the better chances those can happen. So, hey, looking forward to it.
Exactly. That's all you can do, is look forward to it and see what's going to happen there.
Yeah.
So all I can say is this, Bruce, is that, watching this Minnesota team play, I mean, it's been a while since, ever since they came into the league, since leaving NASL, that, they've looked, I mean, I wouldn't say they haven't looked dangerous, but maybe cohesive could be a better term, would you say?
Well, front to back. Because, there was a season or two in 2019 and 2020, and in 2020, we didn't get to see a whole lot of them because of the, all the meltdowns that happened all over the world. But when they had, 2019, they made it to the final of the Open Cup, and their star was Darwin Quintero, and he was tearing it up. He was in the end, the golden boot of that tournament that year. And for whatever bizarre reason, Adrian Heath put him on the bench to start that game. And they were down 2-0 before they even knew what happened. And this was in Atlanta. And then Minnesota came roaring back, got a goal, but just could not get, they used all their energy to get the first goal, and they couldn't get the second one. So that's the best they've done in the Open Cup since they've come to MLS. The next year, they had a really good run in the league, and that was because they had this trio of Kevin Molino, Robin Lod, and Emmanuel Reynoso. And the three of them were pretty unstoppable. And again, they got to the semifinal, and they were up 2-0 in Seattle at 65 minutes. And somehow in regulation, they managed to lose 3-2. And Minnesota didn't make a substitute.
Yeah.
Heath power. That's what we call it here. Heath power.
Yep. It's just amazing how much longer he stayed in Minnesota before they actually did something to get rid of him.
Yeah. And it was, I know there was a lot of reasons, but the big one that we noticed was for the first time ever, there was booing in that stadium. And there was a lot of it. And I think there's a group of owners. There's one major owner, a large group, and I think they all got together and said, we don't spend our money on this team to have our fans booing us.
Exactly.
And I think that's what finally put it over the top.
Absolutely. I mean, once you hear that, you're not loved anymore. You're hearing disgruntled customers.
Yeah. I mean, they've had a great run since they built that stadium and opened it. Almost every single game has been sold out, which is just great. And many of them, when you look around the stadium, it'll be 30 minutes before kickoff and you'll see open patches. And all of a sudden the game starts and you look and every seat is full and all the concourses are full for the standing room.
That's amazing.
Pretty incredible. These are not things I dreamed of happening as a kid. At that kind of stadium with that amount of fans, it's pretty fantastic.
Yeah, no, it really is. And you know what? You commend yourself, your fellow Minnesotans. I mean, you guys come to play. You guys come over there. You go out there and you do a job out there to support and you cheer. And then again, you handle the scoreboard yourself and you flip over the score line.
Exactly.
So, one more time, the quarterfinal matchup, you'll be hosting Chicago.
Yeah.
Over at Allianz Field. What are you expecting from this match? And what maybe gives you hope or what concerns you when Chicago comes over?
Well, I mean, I think you always have to look at what are the games in the league before it and after it. And that's a part of the season where it's a little thinner than it is right now. Right now is frantic. Everyone's playing every 3 or 4 days for 7 weeks straight. So that's been kind of wild to watch people manage it. It won't be that stringent. So I would expect both teams to come with their full lineup and take the game dead serious. Because when they did the draw for the quarterfinals, they did the draw for hosting rights, and Minnesota won the hosting rights for the semifinal and the final. So if they are somehow to go on that run that you mentioned, they could play 4 games in a row at home in the Open Cup, including the final.
Yep.
I mean, that's incentive, right?
It's very incentive. I mean, you got yourselves a big carrot dangling in front of you. Now, at the moment, it's kind of far.
Yeah.
But you can still see it.
Well, I think as a fan, you can.
Yes.
The team's got to forget about that.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah. But, we all know we're human. I mean, does that make you think, oh, this might be a little easier than we thought?
Could be.
No, that's when you usually get hit in the head with a flying fish or something, isn't it?
Only in Seattle. Yes.
So I'm really anxious for it, but there's so many games between now and then that you can't really You know, I think that I think Minnesota's gonna find out who they really are.
Yep.
The next 3 games are at Vancouver, at Seattle, and LAFC at home.
Mm-hmm.
That proves whether you got it or not.
Exactly, it does.
And then they go through the whole stretch of the Gold Cup, and they're going to be missing 5 regulars.
Yep.
You know, and they're on Costa Rica, Panama, Canada. They're on good teams in the Gold Cup. You know.
Yep.
They're all on teams that are going to advance out of the groups.
Yep.
So, you know, maybe that'll throw a wrench into the Gold Cup or into the Open Cup.
It could be.
They may be missing some really key players, but that's when, you know, that's when a 17-year-old gets his shot in the lineup and scores a goal. You know,
Absolutely.
that's how you want it.
That's right.
That's
You
when
take-
Anthony Marcanic gets himself into the regular lineup, and he scored 4 goals in the last 5 games. How about that?
That's awesome.
Yeah. And he's a
That
left
is awesome.
fullback.
Yes, he is.
Yeah. So I don't, you know, I try to pay attention to what Chicago does. I can't always see their full games, but it seems like they're getting better and better and better. So I can't wait, honestly.
Yep, this should be a fun one. This
Yeah.
should really be a fun one. Should be exciting.
Yeah.
Bruce, as always, I appreciate your time. Thank you very much for joining me tonight. Good luck in the quarterfinals and the rest of the season. I'll talk to you soon, my friend.
Take care of yourself.
Always will. You too.
Bye-bye.
Bruce McGuire, Denord, joining me tonight to talk about Minnesota United FC's victory in the Open Cup as we move on to now. Normally, I make the error because I want to give everyone the first 5 segments to talk about their clubs being in the Open Cup and the victory. But I made the snafu because I'd like to do it if it's the Red Bulls. I like to put the Red Bulls last because it's my time, but that's okay. So we're going to go Red Bulls now. And my last guest will be after my segment here for the Red Bull review. So here we go. And there it is. Big one against FC Dallas. And bit of a switch around as well. Noah Ayla and Sean Nealis started in this one because they were getting suspended for the road match at DC United this past weekend. So they were in the starting 11 for this one. There was 2 moments in the match where the Red Bulls had 2 gifts from Martin Paz, who basically gave them the ball. One to Mohamed Sofo, the other one to Victor Bogash. And they just couldn't convert on their free shots, their easy chances. But it would be Bernard Kumungo that puts Dallas on the board first in the 28th minute. And Dallas held that lead going into halftime. But then second half gets underway. Red Bulls made some tactical adjustments. They would move forward and get that equalizer in the 63rd minute. Daniel Edelman tried to smash that ball in, went off the defender, and it went towards the left, to the far side. Mohamed Sofo on his horse tracks that ball, smashes it low, and makes it 1-1. 3rd Open Cup in 2 matches in the Open Cup. He has 3 at the moment, and that is impressive. Gets subbed out, and the big guns come in. Forsberg, Cameron Harper, Eric Maxime Choupo-Moting, and Red Bulls are trying to get that second goal. Unfortunately, it was FC Dallas. Nothing can do on that one. Luciano Acosta, you just got to be careful when you're defending him because he'll slip by you with ease like he did. 77th minute, just found a way to slip through in between both Noah Ayla and Sean Nealis. And he buried that chance to make it 2-1. You know, it looked like this was going to be Dallas's day. FC Dallas was going to take a victory. And the Red Bulls looked like they're going to get eliminated. But there was 4 minutes of stoppage time added. And then a foul just outside the FC Dallas area, just on the outside of it. Emil Forsberg, the captain, the free kick specialist, stands up in front of the ball, measures it, takes the shot, and I think it was going to go in anyway, but it went off the defender, which was Ramiro, who was already yellow carded in the beginning of the match in the 26th minute. The ball goes off of Ramiro, who turned towards the ball, deflected off his stomach into the back of the net, inside the far post, and it's 2-2, and we're going to extra time. No goals in extra time, but there was a play in the 110th minute where the Red Bulls sprung Emil Forsberg into an attacking run, and just as he was a foot outside the area, Ramiro tracked back to defend him, grabbed him, brought him down. Originally, I thought it was a penalty. Foul occurred outside the area. And then, unfortunately, it was not a penalty, but a free kick. And everyone's yelling for a red card. The referee was Alyssa Nichols. No card. No card at all. She did not produce a card. It had to take the fourth official 3 minutes later. 3 minutes later, it took the official, the fourth official, to tell her that's denying of a goal scoring opportunity. That's dog show. That's last man defending. You got to pull out the red card. And then finally, through the communications device in her ear, she goes over to Ramiro, pulls out the red card from the back pocket, shows it to him, and he knew. He knew it was a red card. Even though Dallas protested, saying, "Why are you giving him a red card? You didn't give him a red card. Why did you give him a red card?" Well, it really is a red card. It's a red card situation. It's dog show, whether you like it or not. And so all I can say is that Miss Nichols just did a horrible job. I will say this. For both clubs, she was horrible that night. Absolutely horrible officiating from her. There were fouls that should have been called a foul. There were some fouls that shouldn't have been called a foul. But she called them anyway. And so all I can say is, from her, it was absolutely horrendous. Horrendous. I cannot tell you how many times I just can't stand inept officiating. If you do your job the right way, I won't complain about it, period. It was horrible. Horrible from her. I don't know what she does in the NWSL, but I'll tell you right now, she was horrible. Absolutely horrible. And so, moving on now to the penalty kick shootout. Red Bulls win first. FC Dallas went second. Choupo-Moting takes his first spot kick brilliantly, 1-0. Luciano Acosta takes his next one. As you can see, he missed, tried to go for the Panenka, and it hit the crossbar and out. Noah Ayla powered it home, 2-0. Shaq Moore for Dallas converted his to make it 2-1. Wiki Carmona, unfortunately, basically told Martin Paz where the ball was going, and he makes the save to make it 2-2. Logan Farrington converts in the third round, 2-2 through 3. Daniel Ellman powered his ball, shot into the net, 3-2. Marco Farfan converted to make it 3-3. Emil Forsberg takes his penalty with some trickery, makes it 4-3. And then finally, the backup goalkeeper is AJ Marcucci. Big moment for him. Pedrino taking the last penalty, tried to go to the right. Marcucci dives to his left, makes the save, and the Red Bulls advance to the quarterfinals for the first time in a long time since 2022 Open Cup. That, my friends, was unbelievable. You know, tactically, I thought the Red Bulls were good. Just that one little moment of basically not paying attention or just switching off, and they got beat. But what are you going to do? That's how it is. Sometimes it's going to happen. But they probably should have done better with some of their chances. They didn't. But the important thing is this: Dallas converted twice. Red Bulls converted twice. Nothing happened in extra time, and the Red Bulls win it in the shootout 4-3. It's all that matters. And now they were drawn to be the road team going down to Philadelphia for the quarterfinals at Subaru Park. Philly, the way Philly has gone to start the season, you can say they've been excellent. But recently, they've been outside of the Pittsburgh Riverhounds Open Cup win. Better competition, they've dropped points at home. So even though Philly is still dangerous, there's still an opportunity for the Red Bulls here to find a way to get a win. Depending on how it's done, how they do it, we'll find out and we'll see. But something tells me that I don't think we're going to see Marcucci in the quarterfinals. I think we're going to see Carlos Coronel. We just have to wait for which date the match will be on so that we can be ready for this big Open Cup quarterfinal matchup. We'll find out where, I shouldn't say where, but when, which day the match will be played. So we'll see what happens moving forward. But all I can say is this. The New York Red Bulls are going to be very, very tough. They're going to be strong on the road. Philadelphia is going to be tough as well. They still haven't defeated Philadelphia in a long time. Whether it goes through regulation, extra time, or penalty kick shootout, I think this is the time for the Red Bulls to go out there and to snatch a win. I think it's time. It's absolutely their time. Absolutely, they got to go forward. And, this is what they got to do. Without a doubt, this is what they got to do. They really have to find a way to go out there and snag a victory against Philadelphia Union. They have to. Because they really need to advance to at least host the semifinal matchup in the Open Cup. They have to. So we'll wait to see what's going to happen there. It should be fun. It should be exciting. I can't wait to see what's going to happen. And obviously, we are going to have a lot of fun talking about what this Open Cup is going to be. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride, Red Bulls fans. This is going to be exciting. I can't wait. We're going to have some fun. And now we're almost time to finish off the show here as we get ready for my last guest tonight. And of course, he'll be coming over from the West Coast. And the West Coast place to be is. And of course, we're waiting for Fabian Rankel to join me tonight to talk about the earthquakes. And you know what? That was a great game. And why not talk about that great game with the man himself? Joining me from SBI Soccer, and now brand new reporter for Urban Pitch.
Hey,
And
how's it going?
I just caught that. Fabian Rankel joining me once again. Fabian, well, first of all, congratulations on the new gig.
Thank
What's it
you.
like joining Urban Pitch?
Oh, honestly, it's a blessing. I mean, I'm so blessed to, finally be helping one of the biggest outlets here on the West Coast, and they do such a great job trying to, mesh soccer with everything that's in the current media with music, with fashion. It's something that I've always had a passion for as well. So the collaboration and the partnership is one that was meant to happen in my opinion.
That's very now. Obviously, you're a well-dressed guy. I've seen you in person. I know you're well-dressed. That's number one. Uh, but do they handle all genres of music or just a certain type of music?
As of right now, I know it's the music that they kind of handle is some of it's like Mexican regional, some of it's urban, hip hop. LA's really has tons of the music scene, and with rap right now with Kendrick Lamar and all that. So, but up here in the Bay, we have some legends in music, right? We have Metallica, we have Grateful Dead, we have the hyphy movement, we have E40 if you guys like hip hop. So we have tons of stuff in California, and I'm excited to find ways to interblend all that with soccer.
Absolutely. So here we go. The last time you're on the show, I didn't have this set up, but I have it now because it's very important. I want you to see this.
Yeah, this was a game. I don't want to say snooze fest.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Not a snooze fest at all. That was probably the best 0-0 in regulation time I have ever seen. It was fantastic. Both sides gave it their all.
Yeah, no, and it got chippy at the end. I mean,
Oh yeah.
I was shocked that nobody got a red, to be honest, before the 90th minute. As you can see there, in the 80th minute or the 86th minute, there was a whole bunch of yellow cards given out. I was amazed that Christian Espinosa didn't get a yellow because of his reaction of it not being a penalty. So no, it was a nail biter for sure. The Quakes fans that were there on a Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken, were treated with a good game. And they played Portland, 2 weeks before that, but this was a completely different game.
Sorry about that. It really was. And, normally I would see if there was a shot of Bruce going bonkers in the technical area, normally he would go bonkers in a game like this. But I was amazed at how calm he was throughout this entire match, unless you saw something different that the cameras didn't.
Yeah, look, I mean, with Bruce, I don't know. Bruce has like this different aura with him this year or now with the Quakes. I mean, it's almost like he's really, really confident in this team and really confident in the second and third line because he feels like they can really go toe to toe with any MLS team, and that's something that the Quakes have been missing the past couple of years. He even believes the B team can go head to head with anybody. So yeah, he believes in his guys. The Quakes have a lot of depth too. So only being 3 wins away from being able to lift your first trophy in how long? And then a berth in the CONCACAF Champions Cup. Bruce goes back to that, so it's going to be interesting.
Yep, it really is. It's going to be very interesting. Let me also ask you this, and I have to ask you, is that when the foul was called, actually in the 86th minute, the foul really wasn't called at first.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the far side assistant waved his flag maybe like what 2-3 seconds later or something like that.
Yeah, it was a late call initially, and then the whole scuffle was about, was it in the box, was it out the box, and then the replay center played it on the big jumbotron, and everybody went crazy at that point. And then for the people that didn't watch it, 4 Portland Timbers players all started huddling the line ref and just started yelling at him, and I was like, whoa, what's going on here? Like this is something where the refs completely lost control of the game. Because this is something that you rarely see. And this is a U.S. Open Cup game. I mean, a lot of teams get a lot of flack because they don't take this cup seriously. And this didn't look like either team wanted to lose. And it was awesome to see. I was working for the cup.us, and I was like, man, they are really showing that they want to win this game, and they both want to stay with this cup because once you're in the quarters, it's truly a great opportunity to lift some trophy and some silverware.
Yeah, it really is. And then I think after the referee saw the far side assistant wave the flag, he then pointed to the spot for a penalty.
Right.
And then all of a sudden he's like, okay, I'll talk to him. I'll talk to him. And I know, like you said, they crowded him. And Mora got booked, which he should have been. Rodriguez got booked, should have been. And yeah, Kamal Miller he was going to get booked for the foul anyway because he's the one that committed it. So I
Right.
mean, that was the automatic. But to see them, seeing the referee and the far side assistant having that conversation, which look, I know we have VAR now in league play, and VAR will be implemented from the quarterfinals to the final now since last year. But not that I'm saying I'm against VAR, but I would like to see more communication between the officials when, I would like to see the far side assistant telling the referee, whether it's through the headphones or to say,
Right.
hey, come here, come to me. This is what happened. This is what you should or should not do. That's what I would like to see more of. And I understand the referee's got to take charge, but there's got to be some sort of equal sharing of not so much taking charge, but what's going on here.
Yeah, look, the game got out of hand. I think they stopped the game for at least 5 minutes for that play because the players needed to be calmed down. And yeah, this was an instance where VAR could have easily saw that the push was outside of the box and then it fell into the box. But eventually they got the right call, in my opinion, and I was there covering the earthquake. So yeah, it was a crazy call, but then eventually it went 0-0, and then the game was won fair and square, in my opinion. So
Oh no, absolutely fair and square. I have no issues whatsoever. I mean, I'm just glad that my fears were at ease, that this game could have gone completely out of hand. And instead of saying what we're talking about now, we could have just gone like, what a travesty, that, I mean, look, I know you cover the Quakes. Look, they got the goal. What are you going to do? But that should not have been a penalty.
right. No, even I understood that. So when I saw the people in the stadium, I was like, well, he got bumped outside the box, and then he fell into the box. Guys, like, let's all calm down here.
I know. Exactly. But even in extra time, it was fantastic. And then all of a sudden, I mean, Mark Anthony Kaye in the right place at the right time.
Right.
Now, did you think that was? I mean, that was a shot. I think it was a shot. You think it was a pass? You think it was a shot?
Look, I tweeted out that great goal at Mark Anthony Kaye, so I didn't see the touch until afterwards. But yeah, I mean, being at the right place at the right time, Jack Scahan's just one of those guys. Might not be the most famous player in the league, but he gets the job done. He runs hard for the Quakes, and he's been doing that for the past couple of years. And Mark Anthony Kaye gets an assist, and Jack Scahan gets the goal, right? So to me, it looked like a shot, but I guess if you deflect the shot, it becomes a pass.
Yes, it does. So he'll get the credit for the assist. So that's a good thing.
Yeah.
But I think Mark Anthony Kaye really showing how important of a cog he is to this Earthquakes team that Bruce Arena got him for.
Yeah, I mean, they have depth. Like, this Quakes team has depth, which is something that the Quakes haven't had in forever. Not only has Bruce Arena gone out and got the guys from New England that he wanted and he knows, he got more guys too. He got Josef, Chicho, and then the Quakes guys that were left over that were still really good. They just couldn't put it together. Are now a part of this team too. And then you have the guys coming up from the Quakes Academy, like Bo LaRue, Floriani, and Jack Scahan, I would put in that category too. Went up to the Quakes too, and then eventually, finds a way to get on the score sheet in a crucial Open Cup game. I mean, this Quakes organization looks completely different than it did last year.
No, it really does. And I mean, look, I'll say this, and no offense to the past coaches, obviously, but competent coaching gets you very far. Would you not agree?
No, 100%. And Bruce is a legend when it comes to MLS, and some would say deservedly so, gets the respect of every single player in that locker room. Even if he didn't have the New England guys there, every single person would give him the utmost respect because this man bullied the Quakes for years. I mean, and now he's on your team. Anybody that would take Bruce Arena this last offseason to coach their team would have saw this happen to them. And it's not a Quakes thing. Yes, the Quakes had some good pieces. Yes, the Quakes had an okay lineup. Yes, the Quakes had Christian Espinoza, one of the most underrated superstars in the league. But Bruce Arena just brings this calmness and this confidence, like you were saying, to this locker room that they can compete with anyone in this league. And also, Bruce Arena got Fisher to go ahead and move the needle to get the guys that he needs as well. I mean, getting Chicho Arango, an MVP candidate before whatever happened last year, is a big get. Also, signing Josef Martinez was a big get. And I think the Quakes have made almost every single decision right in this last offseason with getting Bruce's guys and getting more of other guys as well. And they kept the GM Chris Leach to help Bruce Arena instead of firing him. So you already had someone that understood the roster and understood where everybody's contract standed, and someone that was already familiar with the Quakes front office and the Quakes owner. So Bruce really came in and hit the ground running. And that's something that you like to see. I even bump into Ian Russell sometimes, and he was the interim head coach and he stayed around because this Quake organization, yes, you might not, do the job well, but they'll give you a second chance. And that's something that the Quakes are definitely, they're definitely reaping the benefits of that.
No, they really are. How's my buddy John Wolnick doing over there? How's Wally doing? He's still there?
That was the president a couple of years ago, right?
He joined the club, I think, last year, a year before that, I think.
I haven't seen him, so I'm not sure if he's still with the club.
Okay. All right, I'll find out. I'll ask around. But because I know he joined the club, I think 2 years ago. I think it was after his time with Rebels 2 was done. He just didn't stay and he just left on his own. They didn't let him go. He just left after his contract was over. But all right, so we'll see what happens. But quarterfinal matchup, you're hosting Austin FC. They're doing okay in league play, but I think as well as I do, they're dangerous, and they got Brandon Vasquez. So what are you expecting out of this quarterfinal matchup with Austin?
Yeah, look, if Austin comes ready to play like they have been since they've acquired Robert Taylor from Inter Miami, this team is a dangerous team. They have the firepower. Bukhari is getting some goals in finally. It's looking like Brandon Vasquez is hitting the ground running after he had a slow start in the beginning of the season. Hey, Austin is going to be a playoff team the Quakes are going to be playing against. This is a potential playoff matchup. So this is going to be a game that really sets the bar for the Earthquakes and is a great show for the people in the stadium to believe in this team. Hopefully, since the game's in July, I mean, it's a pretty far out, next round, that the Quakes are going to get healthy. They're going to have Chicho Arango back. They're going to have Josef Martinez back. And they're going to find a place to finally put Hernan Lopez to be a good player in this system that Bruce has. And I think the Quakes should win this game, especially at home. And if they take out Austin and Chicago wins, if I'm not mistaken, against Minnesota, the Quakes could host every single game besides the final. So the Quakes do have a route to lift this trophy, and the first trophy under Bruce Arena that doesn't look too seemingly hard. You just have to beat a couple of Western Conference playoff teams, and you're there.
Yeah, I agree with you there. We'll see what happens, but I'm more interested in what your first Urban Pitch article will be, Fabian.
I'll give you a little preview. It was an interview I got with FIFA for Lautaro Martinez and him talking about the Club World Cup. So it's just a little article talking about the Club World Cup, but hopefully I get a couple sit downs with guys across the league in the next couple of months, and we talk more about the inner workings of soccer and soccer as well.
Absolutely. Can't wait for that. But as always, I appreciate your time, Fabian. Thank you very much. And I'll talk to you next time. You take care, okay?
You take care.
Thank you. That's Fabian Renkel, once again, from SBI Soccer, now Urban Pitch. So go ahead and have fun with that one. And he does a great job covering MLS and everything else around the league. And now Urban Pitch with music and fashion. I'm occasionally a fashion guy. I like fashion myself. I don't mind looking my best. I'll get back there someday soon. I promise. I promise all of you. I will. I'll do that. But until then, you're stuck with what you got. Anyway, here we go. These are the quarterfinal matchups for the 2025 Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup. And here we go. Once again, the matches we played Tuesday, July the 8th, Wednesday, July the 9th. You can watch them digitally at Paramount Plus. You can also watch it on CBS Sports Golazo Network, whichever match gets designated, and of course, CBS Sports Network linearly. Once we get the dates and the times, we'll find out when these games and where they'll be played. First things first. Pardon me. The Philadelphia Union will be hosting the New York Rebels at Subaru Park. Nashville SC will be hosting DC United at Geodis Park. Minnesota United FC will be hosting the Chicago Fire at Allianz Field. And the San Jose Earthquakes will be hosting Austin FC at PayPal Park. So there you have it, your quarterfinal matchups for, once again, July the 8th and July the 9th. And that's my error. I apologize about that. And there we go. And that is your quarterfinal schedule for the 2025 U.S. Open Cup. I want to thank my guests tonight. I want to thank Ruben Tisch of The Lantern. I want to thank Stephen Robinson of 615 Soccer. Eric Goodman of the Austin Chronicle. I want to thank Bruce McGuire of Denord. I also want to thank Fabian Renkel of SBI Soccer and now Urban Pitch. Join me tomorrow afternoon where I will have a regular 4 Fire American Soccer show, and then Rebel fans, I'll be tweeting with you live tweets, live posts on X, talking about the New York Rebels as they will be hosting Charlotte FC. My name is Daniel Feuerstein. Thank you very much for watching me tonight. I hope all of you enjoyed it. I apologize for the cold still hanging around, but that's how it goes, unfortunately, sometimes with these shows and in life. But once again, this has been the 2025 Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup Round 5 review show here on the Fire American Soccer Show. And as always, please, please, please enjoy your football. Thank you. Have a good night. Take care. So long, and bye-bye for now. Have a good night, everybody.